Sup, dude? So, most of these, I don't think any of them have ever happened to me, but I've just heard about them multiple times. And the first one, obvious fact. So here we go. First one is, guys don't think we can get pregnant on our period. We absolutely can. But that's also one a lot of women think, especially young, not young girls, but adolescents and teens. The second is they think our period is a choice. And unless you don't trust any pregnancy test or doctor, we wouldn't choose the period. It's an excuse for me to eat junk, but it's not worth it. I'm a food addict. I always want to eat junk. No addict needs excuses. Some guys think we can hold it like it's pee, and that we can hold it all day, like you can bleed after work. No, we can't. Actually, we will be bleeding after work, and we're bleeding now. Trying to think of the others. Oh, that we attract bears with our period blood. Now, if you're bleeding in the ocean, sharks might be able to smell you, but a shark knows what human blood tastes like, and they actually don't like human. They attack us because they think we're a sea turtle or a seal or something. Our blood doesn't taste good to them. But bears? I don't think bears can smell blood. What they smell on us is our food. They don't want us, they want our food. You put your food up in a tree so bears can't get it. Not your used tampon, that's gross. America's sexual education programs have always been failing, but the media and just popular culture and society doesn't teach us about what consent actually is. Thought of another one. We are always cranky. The reason we're cranky is because we're on our period, and that's the only reason we could ever be cranky or mad or anything like that. I will admit that personally I am a beast when Aunt Flo comes to town. Just think about daily life for women. Even guys who work really hard and get their bodies messed up and they still have rough lives. And you ask, well, do you want to turn into a female? No, they do not. There are a lot of TikTokers who talk about trauma during, gynecological stuff, and gynecologists who think we don't feel pain down there or other crap like that. And even some women think that. I'm like, my God, no! Would you listen to us? Anyway, I've gone on for way too long. In summary, people be stupid.
To try and explain how a period works to you.
He said, and I quote, "You know that time of the month where your uterus comes out of your body?" What?
The audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Hi, story time from a Gen Xer here who happens to have silent generation parents who never talked about anything physical. So it was always assumed that I would know what to do instinctively, and I sort of did, because what else was there? Now, you got to remember that this is back in the early 90s, when there wasn't a lot of information freely shared, so you can find things, but it wouldn't be correct, or you'd have terms couched in an odd way. So, here I am. I'm in college, and my RA looks at me like I am death warmed over and sends me to the doctor. I had been working full time. I had a full course load, and I was doing an internship, and I rode my bike everywhere because I was broke and had no car. So the doctor does the normal 6 pregnancy tests because, God forbid, it's anything other than that. And when that came out negative, they did a drug test. And when that came out negative, they looked at it and went, your iron levels are deadly low. And I'm like, I'm taking an iron supplement. I'm eating an iron-rich diet. Something's wrong. And the doctor asked me what's going on. And I'm just like, I'm on my cycle. And I show him my little calendar that I had, that I kept track of the dates. And he looks at it and tells me I'm lying. This 50-year-old man had the audacity to tell me that I'm lying about the physical symptoms that I'm currently experiencing, because he said that no one can bleed for 45 days straight and still be alive. So I must be lying. And I'm like, it's been going on since I was 14. 45 days on, 69 days off. Then 45 days, and then 69 again. It's been going on for years. My pediatric doctor that I had been going to because I'm still a child according to my parents until I'm 21 and legally able to live on my own. That, yay, it was just going to even out. And it had. It evened out into that pattern. And I just went, okay. Yeah. So, this doctor thought I was completely lying, told me I must be self-harming myself, gives me this massive lecture of how periods don't work this way, that there's no medical issue that would cause any of this, and then it's just me self-harming. And the rest of it's all psychosomatic. So now he sends me to a therapist, and he makes the appointment to the college therapist. And I have to go the next day after school and work. So I show up there only to have the therapist open up with, so, Dr. So-and-so told me you're self-harming yourself, and we're going to check your room to make sure that we can find the implements that you're doing this with, and then we'll get you the psychiatric help you need. Because periods don't work that way.
Ladies, please tell me a time that a man had the audacity.
Forgive the hair. Yeah. But he didn't try to explain it to me. When me and my little brother were in high school, I stayed home from school because I was vomiting from the pain of my cramps. And when he got home, he was really upset that I stayed home because I was sick. And he used air quotes. 2 seconds, but probably not even a second, I lunged at my brother. And my dad caught me mid-air and told him he needed to leave for a minute. So, yeah. We laugh about it now.
The audacity to try and explain how a period.
Okay, aside from the always shocking and impressive propensity for men to wholeheartedly believe that a woman cannot get pregnant while she's on her period, aside from that whopper, it wasn't necessarily that this man was trying to tell me how my period worked. It was somebody that I had dated, we'd had kind of a falling out, and very tentatively reconnected with some new boundaries in place, but I wasn't really trying to, like, move forward too quickly because I didn't want to get my feelings hurt. So he was trying to be really seductive, and I was very attracted to him, but I was not ready to reopen that part of our relationship. And he insisted that it was, like, because I was on my period, and I kept telling him, no, that's not it. So at some point he went to the bathroom and saw, I don't know what, but some kind of evidence that I actually, in fact, was on my period at the time. And so he came back thinking that he was being sweet, practically, like, melted into the seat next to me and was like, I told you it's okay. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, I think it's sexy when women are women, and all this bullshit. And then I had the very awkward task of explaining to him, I never said that I wasn't on my period. I said that's not the reason why I don't want to have sex with you. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed. If I wanted to do it, I would just be like, heads up, are you down for that? Great. Clothes gone. That's not what's going on. So, I don't know, man, just any assumption around somebody else's like, even woman to woman, like, an assumption about somebody else's period is weird. Like, that would be like, growing up, my best friend had terrible cramps all the time, and I never got them. That would have been me, like, telling her her experience wasn't real because it was different than mine. Like, just don't do that. It's like a personal health issue. Just let people deal with it in the way that they want to.
Okay, ladies, nah, because some of y'all have been tagging me in stories and I just can't. So I need stitches.
All right, I can't think of a specific time I've had a guy explain periods to me or anything like that because, well, I usually ignored them even back when I was crazy. But I have had guys try to explain to me things about gynecologist, things about going to see one, things about what I can and cannot have done with my own fucking body after I had already discussed all of it with doctors and attempted to get my insurance to do stuff. This guy tried to just, no, you can get that easy. It's blah, 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 blah. You just have to go to the office and do it. Bruh.
Please tell me a time that a man had the audacity to...
Okay, so yeah, they were trying to explain to me what their wife told them that their wife felt, and somehow that was more valid than what I was actually feeling. I was like,
audacity to try and explain how a period works to you.
You ready? I was working in fast food, and this was my first time trying out tampons. I had been using pads my entire life. I wanted to see what tampons were about. Being hyper aware of toxic shock syndrome, I changed it every 3 to 4 hours on the dot. Manager at the time is like, why are you going to the bathroom so much? You need to be at work. I just straight up tell him, I'm on my period. I have to change out my tampon. Instead of going, oh, okay, like most people would, especially male managers, he said, well, then just stop bleeding and get back to work. Sir, there is a reason why nobody in that establishment respected you. There is also a reason why the rumor mill says that you got fired. I still went to the bathroom. He tried to write me up. I told him if he writes me up, I'm going straight to district. He didn't. Fuck around and find out.
Go check out the original creator. He's basically saying, explain to him the time a man tried to explain your period to you. I got one for you. And I'm sorry, I didn't feel like getting cute today. So I had a gentleman that I was seeing for, I don't know, maybe 2 months. And we were planning on going on a vacation weekend, like romantic getaway type thing. It was supposed to be so sexy. And I called him 3 days before we were supposed to leave, and I said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to go. I got my period and it's not gonna happen, my friend. You know, we were supposed to, and that's not gonna happen. And he said to me, I can't even make this up. He said with his whole chest, I find it highly inconsiderate that you would allow your period to happen when we're supposed to go and we've already got reservations and everything's booked. I need you to either go ahead and stop that or we're done. He literally thought that I could just go, oh, done, no big deal. And when I tried to explain to him that's not how that works, he was like, you don't have to explain that to me. I have a PhD. And I'm like, obviously not in biology or, you know, anatomy or anything applicable because you apparently don't understand. So yeah, apparently I'm selfish because my period happened when we were supposed to. I hate men.
Okay, ladies, nah, because some of y'all have been tagging me in stories and I just can't. So I need stitches.
None of the men I know actually have ever said anything, but at one point I had a random stranger just ask me along the lines of, well, can't you just have that whenever you want it, or like turn it off when you don't want it anymore? Because they swore that their girlfriend only had her period when it was inconvenient for them.
To try and explain how a period works to you.
Oh, buddy, do I have a story for you? I am a non-binary AFAB person, and I dated a guy who asked me if I could turn my period off. Yeah, you heard that correctly. This man did not like the reasons that I was not wanting to have sex, because I just didn't fucking want to, and I was on my period, it was my choice, and he asked me, well, why can't you just turn it off and then turn it back on once we're done? And I looked at him and was just like, bro, you're going to college, like bachelor's degree shit college, like, we did not stay together, broke up the next day, like, I was done. I was like, seriously? Okay. But yeah.
that a man had the audacity to try and explain.
Which time? High school teacher told me to hold it. Another one asked me to share with the class it was a tampon. And my favorite was when they commented how it didn't hurt that bad. You should be fine.
Try and explain how a period works to you.
The entire Republican Party in every single state, including anyone who considers themselves conservative. High school health teacher, you can't get pregnant when you're on your period. Turns out you can. Boyfriends, oh, we'll just put a towel down or we'll do it in the shower or whatever. What makes you think I actually want to do it aside from the migraines that I get, the hot, cold flashes, and the fucking cramps? What makes you think I'm in a mood to be sexy? Heart attacks for women present differently than men. Men get the crushing in the chest and the clutching and the pain down the arm. Women don't. Statistically speaking, women get far more mild symptoms, and sometimes they think it's cramps or indigestion. Also, there are women who have passed kidney stones and thought nothing of it because it was less serious than their period cramps.
Try and explain how a period works to you.
Oh my god. Several exes were just so positive that there was no way that periods lasted longer than 7 days. Oh, my ex's periods were like 3 or 4 days. There's no fucking way that it's been almost 2 weeks and you're still bleeding. I'm sorry, is my name fucking Ashley or whatever the fuck that bitch's name? No. Is her uterus my uterus? No. I've even had women tell me, like, close female friends that, like, even they were like, yeah, I didn't really believe you about how much pain you were in until blah, 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 blah. Like, there's always some sort of, like, mitigating circumstance that, like, proves to people how bad my periods were when I still had a uterus. But I ultimately chose to get my uterus taken out because of how bad my periods were. And, like, oh, there's no way that periods are longer than 7 days. Like, yeah, I choose to be in mental and physical agony for 2 weeks out of every month because it's fun.
How a period works to you.
So I'm having this procedure done, and the doctor is in there. There's actually a camera up. It's a long story. Anyway, there's a camera up in my uterus, and I was having some cramps for obvious reasons. People are up in there doing stuff, and so we're waiting for a technician or something, and I made a complaint or a noise about a cramp or whatever, and the doctor, a male doctor, says, he's like, do you realize that every time you say you have a cramp, like, I can see the uterus move on the camera? And he acts like this is news. Like, what did you think we were complaining about or experiencing when a cramp happened? This was a doctor.
Explain how a period works to you.
So I've actually talked about this before. I actually had a male doctor try to tell me that me having periods that would last up to 14 days long and that would come every 5 days. So therefore I was having maybe 10 days worth of no periods during the month, that it was normal. And then he tried to explain to me how my ovaries work and how the walls of my uterus would slough off and how it was completely normal. I was so pissed off, I called and complained and got a female doctor who heard that information, was shocked, pulled me in for an appointment where she did a biopsy, and they found a tumor, which I am now healing from a hysterectomy for. Yeah. Thanks, male doc. The audacity. Had my period since I was 8. Not normal.
Audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Okay, so you want to talk about the time that a guy thought that I was bleeding out of my ass and had to put a tampon on my ass? Or you want to talk about the time the guy thought that I was just push hard enough, it would just flow out in one push, like a fart. Or you want to talk about the guys that don't even know the difference between a clit, a uterus, and a vagina, and think that we're bleeding just out of nowhere, like magic. Or you want to talk about the guys that actually think our blood is saved up in the bladder, and then we bleed from our bladder instead of our uterus, like... And the sad part about this all is that Google is free and the library is free. It's just about wanting to be educated. Because if they wanted to, they already did.
Audacity to try and explain how a period works.
Ooh, my ex-husband, he was an expert in this topic because he had a mom. So he knew exactly how long it should last, what PMS what cramps felt like, and how the flow should go. So if I ever deviated off the cycle, like a couple days longer, couple days too short, I was lying. I had cheated on him. I was faking it to get out of anything, anything. I needed to take him to the doctor with me to prove that I wasn't lying. He would look gross. He would go through my garbage to look.